Hello, welcome back to BU, the place where you unlock your true potential. Today, I will tell you about one of the most important events in world history, the American Revolution. This is a story of courage, freedom, and change. It is a story of how 13 colonies fought against a powerful empire and won their independence. Let us go back in time, over 200 years ago, to learn how the United States of America was born. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and give this video a like, so you never miss out on interesting history videos like this one. Now, let's dive into one of the most powerful stories in history, the American Revolution. Chapter 1. Life in the Colonies. In the 1700s, there were 13 British colonies in North America. These colonies were under control of the British king. People in the colonies were farmers, shopkeepers, and craftsmen. They worked hard and built towns, roads, and schools. Life was not always easy, but many people had hope for a better future. The colonies had their own local governments, but the British government made many big decisions. The colonists had no one in the British Parliament to speak for them. This made many people in the colonies feel unhappy. They wanted more control over their own lives. Even though they were far from Britain, the colonists felt the impact of British rule every day. They had to follow British trade laws. They had to use British money. They had to listen to British officers and pay British taxes. Over time, more and more colonists began to question why they were being ruled by a king who lived across the ocean. Chapter 2. New taxes, new problems. After the French and Indian War, Britain needed money. So, the British government created new taxes for the American colonies. One of these was the Stamp Act in 1765. It said that people had to pay money for paper, newspapers, and legal documents. Another was a Townshend Act in 1767, which taxed glass, paint, and tea. The colonists were angry. They said, no taxation without representation. This means they did not want to pay taxes without having a say in the government. Many protests happened. People refused to buy British goods. They held meetings and wrote letters to British leaders. In some cities, British tax collectors were threatened. Some were even attacked. Colonial leaders like Samuel Adams and Patrick Henry gave powerful speeches. They told people to stand up for their rights. Slowly, the colonies were becoming more united in their anger. Chapter 3. Boston Tea Party. In 1773, the British gave control of tea sales to one company, the East India Company. The colonists were not happy. Tea was a popular drink, but now they had to pay a tax on it. In Boston, a group of colonists dressed like Native Americans. They boarded a British ship and threw 342 boxes of tea into the harbor. This event is called the Boston Tea Party. It shocked the British government. Britain answered by sending more soldiers and making strict laws. These new laws were called the Coercive Acts or the Intolerable Acts by the colonists. One law closed the Boston harbor. Another took away Massachusetts' right to self-government. Instead of stopping the protests, these laws made the colonies even angrier. They saw that Britain was not going to listen. Chapter 4. The Start of War. In April 1775, British soldiers went to Lexington and Concord to take weapons from the colonists. But American militia, local fighters, were waiting. A shot was fired. No one knows who shot first, but it started the war. This was the beginning of the American Revolutionary War. The colonists did not have a strong army, but they believed in freedom. They were fighting for their homes, their families, and their rights. More and more people joined the fight. Towns sent men to fight, and women helped by making clothes and caring for the wounded. Chapter 5. Declaration of Independence. On July 4, 1776, something very important happened. Leaders from the 13 colonies met in Philadelphia. They wrote the Declaration of Independence. This document said that the colonies were now free and independent states. The main writer of this declaration was Thomas Jefferson. He wrote that all people have a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. These were powerful words. They gave people hope and a reason to fight. The Declaration also listed many things the British king had done wrong. It explained why the colonies had the right to break away. When the document was signed, it was a brave act. These men knew they could be punished or even killed, but they believed in a better future. Chapter 6. A Long and Hard War. The war was not easy. The British had a big, strong army. They had many ships and a lot of money. The American fighters, also called the Continental Army, did not have much, but they had strong leaders. One of the most famous was General George Washington. There were many battles. Some were victories. Some were defeats. In the winter of 1777, at Valley Forge, American soldiers suffered from cold and hunger. They had little food and no shoes. Many men became sick, but they did not give up. They trained and became stronger. A man named Baron von Steuben, from Prussia, helped teach the soldiers. They learned how to fight better. The war moved through many areas: New York, New Jersey, and the southern colonies. The British took cities like Philadelphia and Charleston, but the American army kept fighting. They used surprise attacks. They knew the land better. Slowly, the tide began to turn. Chapter 7. Help from France. In 1778, France decided to help the American colonies. France gave money, weapons, and soldiers. This was a big change. Now, Britain had to fight both the Americans and the French. The French Navy helped a lot. It stopped British ships and helped American forces win important battles. A French general named Lafayette became one of Washington's most trusted allies. With this help, the Americans began to believe they could win the war. Spain and the Netherlands also gave help. Slowly, more countries started to support the American cause. The war was becoming a global conflict. Chapter 8. The Final Battle. In 1781, the final major battle took place in Yorktown, Virginia. British General Cornwallis was trapped by American and French forces. After many days of fighting, he surrendered. This was the end of the war. The British were tired. They had spent too much money and lost too many soldiers. In 1783, both sides signed a peace treaty in Paris. It was called the Treaty of Paris. Britain now recognized the United States as a free country. Chapter 9. A new nation is born. After the war, the new country faced many problems, but the people were full of hope. They began to build a new government with new laws. In 1787, the U.S. Constitution was written. It created a system of government with three parts: the President, the Congress, and the Supreme Court. George Washington became the first president. The people trusted him. He had led them through the war, and now he would help lead the country in peace. Other leaders like James Madison and Benjamin Franklin helped shape the new nation. The Constitution also included the Bill of Rights, 10 important freedoms like freedom of speech and religion. These ideas would help guide the new country for many years. Conclusion. The American Revolution was not just a war. It was the birth of a new idea that people can choose their leaders and have rights and freedoms. It was the start of a great experiment in democracy. The journey was long and difficult, but the courage of the American people changed history. Their dream of freedom became a reality, and that dream still lives on today. Thank you for listening to this story. I hope you now understand how the American Revolution changed history. Remember, freedom is never free. It takes courage, sacrifice, and hope. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a new video. Tell us in the comments, what was the most exciting part of the American Revolution for you? We'd love to hear your thoughts. See you in the next one.